What you gonna do when she says goodbye?
So, yeah.
What you gonna do when she is gone? You're supposed to jump in.
Am I? Is that rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I start the video now?
You want me to stop that?
So we're back on the Mad-nette here. Now before we actually take the body off the chassis, we need to figure out the mounts for the core support, because we got everything tacked in place right now to hold it. So we want to be able to replicate that when we go to put it back on the chassis later, and might as well get those taken care of now. Now what we did here was we found some like basically universal urethane mounts here on Amazon that are very much like a regular body mount, but smaller. If you were interested in using these on any of your projects, we'll probably try to put a link in the description here. But they use like a 1/2-inch bolt, and they come with washers and everything, and they come as a 2-pack. And they weren't really that bad a price, so you got some washers here to do top and bottom, and they're compact enough to fit in this area that we want to work with. So originally they used these bolts back here on the back side of this on a bracket to bolt to a brace that was across the chassis on the Magnette originally, but that's right where our sway bar is, so we're not going to use that. So we wanted to put these mounts somewhere up in here, make a bracket off of here that this can set on, and then we'll make a bracket coming up and catching these 2 bolts here on either side. But we also want to make sure that we can make these work with the bumper brackets and not run into each other. So we also need to look at the bumper, so let's look at that right now. So here's the bumper we're going to be using. It's an original Magnette bumper, and it came with the car when I got it. And normally it would sit, you know, kind of out a little ways, and we're going to tuck it back in there, make it nice and tight, about like that. Of course, this thing's got a little twist we got to work out of it yet. And make it look really nice and neat for a rat rod like this. And then here's the original brackets. Now, with the original brackets on the bumper, centered up in these holes, the width to the inside of the here on the inside brackets comes out to less than 1/8 of an inch difference from the width of the chassis here. So the idea was to take this apart, cut this off here, and bolt this right to the side of the chassis here, and come through with a sleeve, and then chop up this bracket to shorten it and then put it on the outside. But what we had a problem with is these things drops down just a little bit, and if we put it on the way they're supposed to be, it actually put this bolt hole just like off the rail here, where we can't do that. But I figure if I take them, flip them side to side, then it puts them going up, and it might get us actually through the rail. So we're going to be looking at trying to do it that way, and then we can take the tow hook here off and either weld it to the bottom here if we still want it, or sandwich it on one side or the other so we still have one. Because it'd be nice for, in case it needs to be trailered at some point, you can just grab a hold of those and tie it down on the trailer nice and easily. So we got the brackets cut apart, got the rivets drilled out of them, and I'm going to go ahead and just try to bolt these on real quick. Just a temporary little thing here. It's just to give us an idea of what might work, except my bolts don't fit in there, so I'm going to have to go find something different. So what I did, I just went ahead and ground a little off the heads of these bolts. We had to cut all the originals off so we didn't have anything to put back in here. So we'll just do that and toss these on here real quick and kind of get a quick mock-up on it. Just to see what we've got. I know this isn't going to be quite perfect because that's not sitting exactly straight, but whatever. But we just want to see if our width actually comes out right. Yep, so that's going to work out just fine. And then we can play with this a little bit to get our, and I can twist this whatever we need to make this thing sit really nice. Get our height that we're looking for. And then we can figure out where our holes are going to be. And untwist this thing and spend some time lining it all up. And there's our starting point. They're odd size holes.
They are.
Yes, they are. I figured they were just 1/2-inch rivets, and no, must have been 7/16.
Yeah, you jacked that side up again?
I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to line up the holes on the bracket. And it moved around while I was trying to get these bolts in. It didn't fit. I used 7/16 rivets to hold that together. So I think now we can go ahead and take our brackets here and probably put them just on the inside, and then because this thing needed to slide over a little bit to be centered, and I'll work the slot in this side bracket here so that this will fit in here, and this side works out perfect as it's sitting. And then I can go ahead and maybe tack these to the chassis rails once we get all this lined up exactly where we want it. And then that will give me the places, my basically pilots, to be able to drill through the chassis and know where they need to be at. So we'll spend some time playing with alignment and trying to get this thing sitting where we want it. But I got the bumper untwisted. And so far we're not looking too bad. Every time I clamp it, things move. It just went up.
Yep, it's up.
How does that look?
That's better. Yep.
So yeah, we'll just play around with this for who knows how long. And once we get everything lined up the way we want it, then we'll know what we got here. Well, this grill's a little bent, but looks like with tucking the bumper in a little bit, we're going to have to end up cutting this bracket off in order to clear the grill to actually open the hood. I don't think he'll be too distraught about that because he wants the bumper tucked in, and he obviously won't have a need for the starting handle anymore anyway. This isn't actually the grill he's going to use. This is just one I have laying here. So, yeah. More playing. a lot closer. When he first got this car, this whole edge was turned up about 45 degrees, and he had just pulled it down a little bit, kind of close, and it was actually bent through here, so we're just trying to get it straight again, or at least relatively straight, so we can get the bumper properly lined up to it. Because it's just too hard to line the bumper up to something that's wavy. We don't know where we're lining up to. So I played with the front bumper alignment and stuff and kept messing around with it for a while until we got it looking pretty decent. And then I ended up taking the whole front of it off here and straightening this panel out here. Got it all straightened out and got it back looking halfway reasonable. But until we get the fenders and everything else back on it to make sure everything's lining up properly, I'm not going to finish any of that. So we got Todd here putting his fenders back on, and then we'll continue moving forward, trying to get the bumper alignment where we want it so that I know exactly where the brackets are sitting and we can make the body mount brackets and make sure they clear. We got the fenders all mounted up here, so we know exactly where the front apron is sitting. We still may do some little tweaking on it yet before we're completely done with it, but that'll all come later during final fitment. But we've got it all fit up to where he is actually extremely happy with the fitment so far. Now, we may end up going ahead and getting rid of this bracket anyway, regardless of whether it clears, and it might actually just barely clear as the hood comes up. But he's also starting to think that maybe we'll take it off just to clean up the front end a little bit, make it look a little bit tidier. Because since we don't need it, it almost looks out of place now, even though that's an integral part of the originality of the car.